Domain authority, best practices for growth in 2025. The 2025 reality, search first, B2B buying. If you sell B2B in 2025, you're operating in a search-first market, whether you plan for it or not. Buyers don't start by looking for your brand. They start by looking for answers, vendors, comparisons, and proof. In fact, 71% of B2B buyers begin with a generic search query, which means your visibility early in research directly shapes who gets shortlisted. That visibility is a revenue lever, not an SEO nice-to-have. Across industries, organic search drives about 53% of website traffic, and for B2B specifically, it can account for roughly 64.1% of site traffic. When organic is the front door, your ability to rank becomes one of the most reliable ways to compound pipeline without increasing paid spend. This is why domain authority, DA, and similar third-party scores keeps coming up in boardrooms and sales leadership meetings. Used correctly, DA is a directional way to estimate how hard it will be for your site to compete in organic search. Used incorrectly, it becomes a vanity KPI that distracts teams from the only outcomes that matter: rankings for commercial terms, qualified conversations, and closed-won revenue. What domain authority measures and what it doesn't. Moz's domain authority score runs on a 1 to 100 scale and is designed to predict how likely a domain is to rank compared to other domains. It's built primarily from backlink data, how many unique sites link to you, how credible they are, and what spam signals exist. The most important nuance, it's logarithmic, so going from DA 15 to 30 is meaningfully easier than going from 50 to 60. DA is not a Google ranking factor, and Google doesn't have a single public authority score that works like DA. Still, DA is useful because the inputs that raise DA, earning authoritative, relevant links, and publishing genuinely helpful content, also tend to correlate strongly with rankings. Practically, DA helps B2B teams benchmark competitiveness without getting lost in dozens of technical SEO metrics. The mistake we see is chasing DA for its own sake, then buying cheap backlinks, paid guest posts on irrelevant sites, or link farm placements that look good in a report but do nothing for rankings or pipeline. In 2025, the standard is simple. If you'd be embarrassed to show the linking site to a prospect, don't put your brand there. Treat DA as a proxy and keep your strategy anchored to keyword clusters that influence opportunities and revenue. Why authority matters to revenue, not just SEO. For B2B, authority isn't an abstract marketing metric. It's a distribution advantage. Organic search contributes about 44.6% of B2B revenue, which is why strong rankings can outperform any single paid channel over time. When your domain is trusted, you don't just get more traffic, you get higher intent traffic that is already problem aware and vendor curious. This changes sales execution in measurable ways. When prospects have already read your comparisons, guides, or benchmarks, your cold calling services and email outreach stop feeling like interruptions and start feeling like the next logical step. Your SDRs spend less time overcoming basic skepticism and more time qualifying, matching use cases, and moving to a meeting. A modern B2B sales agency approach doesn't treat SEO and outbound as separate lanes. It treats them as a flywheel. Authority lifts inbound conversion rates, gives outbound better hooks, and creates more third-party proof through mentions and citations. In competitive categories, that compounding effect is what separates busy activity from predictable pipeline. Build the foundation: technical SEO and internal authority flow. Before you try to grow DA, you need a site that can actually capture the value of earned authority. If pages are slow, unstable on mobile, blocked from crawling, or poorly internally linked, you'll leak rankings and conversions no matter how many links you earn. Technical SEO isn't glamorous, but it's the foundation that lets authority flow from your homepage and top-linked assets into product pages, comparison pages, and high-intent CTAs. The most common technical mistake is obsessing over DA while ignoring crawlability, information architecture, and internal linking. In practice, we want search engines to understand what you do, who you serve, and which pages matter most. Then, we want those pages to load fast and convert cleanly. That means tightening indexation, fixing errors, and building internal links that intentionally funnel equity into the pages tied to meetings and demos. This is also where sales alignment shows up in the details. If your highest intent pages don't reflect real objections, buying committee questions, and use case language your outsourced sales team hears every day, you'll win impressions but lose conversions. A simple operating rhythm, monthly SEO and sales sync, plus a quarterly content technical audit prevents the marketing in a silo problem that kills both authority and pipeline. Domain authority isn't something you increase with tricks. It's what happens when the market repeatedly validates your content, your expertise, and your brand with real links and real mentions. Earn links the right way. Digital PR meets Outbound. Backlinks remain the primary driver behind domain authority, but quality and relevance matter more than ever. B2B companies with 500+ referring domains see about 34% more organic traffic, which is why link building is still non-negotiable in 2025. The goal isn't volume. The goal is earning links from publications, partners, communities, and resources your ICP trusts. One of the fastest ways to do this is to treat link earning like a sales motion, because it is one. At SalesHive, we look at authority growth as a sales development opportunity. Our SDR agency workflows can be used to secure podcast interviews, co-marketing webinars, partner pages, event speaking slots, and editorial mentions that naturally produce high-quality links. This is where a cold email agency and outbound sales agency mindset becomes an SEO advantage. Relationships and distribution are what turn a great asset into earned coverage. Budget realism matters too. SEO professionals report an average acceptable cost of roughly $508.95 for a single high-quality backlink, with an average minimum monthly link building budget of $8,406 in competitive niches. If your plan depends on cheap links at scale, it's not a plan, it's a risk, especially as Google continues to devalue manipulative patterns. Create content people and Google actually want to reference. In 2025, content only works if it's genuinely helpful, original, and defensible. The March 2024 Google Core Update targeted unhelpful and unoriginal content, aiming to reduce low-quality results by about 40 to 45%. That shift didn't end SEO, but it did raise the bar for what deserves to rank, and it made thin, AI-spun pages a liability that can drag down site-wide trust. The most reliable content for authority growth is the kind your ICP would bookmark, forward internally, and cite in their own work. Think benchmark reports, deep implementation guides, tear-down analyses, and templates that make a buyer's job easier. When a piece is truly link-worthy, your link building becomes simpler because you're offering value, not asking for favors. A practical operating model is to ship one flagship, linkable asset per quarter and then build supporting content around it. Each flagship asset should have a clear distribution plan, outreach to publishers, partner enablement, and content-enabled outbound sequences that your cold callers and SDRs can share as a reason to engage. This is how you avoid the mistake of publishing for keywords, not for people, while still winning the keyword clusters that drive pipeline. Common pitfalls that stall DA growth and how to fix them. The first pitfall is treating DA as the goal instead of the scoreboard. If a tactic doesn't improve rankings for commercial terms, increase qualified traffic, or influence meetings booked, it's noise. We recommend tying authority efforts to a defined set of keyword clusters and the pages that support opportunity creation, product, comparison, use case, and high-intent educational assets. The second pitfall is buying cheap backlinks on irrelevant sites and calling it link building. Beyond the risk, it rarely moves the needle because the best links are editorial, topically relevant, and earned on real sites your buyers read. A smaller number of credible links almost always beats a large number of low-quality links, especially when you're trying to build durable trust that survives algorithm updates. The third pitfall is running SEO without sales input. When content reflects real objections, deal stages, and buying committees, it converts. When it doesn't, it becomes a traffic vanity play. Fix this by making sales insights part of the content engine. Have SDRs share call snippets and FAQs. Have AEs pressure test messaging. And give your outsourced sales team fresh assets they can use in outreach, so marketing and sales are reinforcing the same narrative. Optimize, measure, and set the right expectations. Domain authority growth is compounding, but it's not instant. Across B2B, it typically takes 4 to 6 months of consistent content and link earning to see measurable organic gains, and the climb slows as you get higher due to the logarithmic scoring model. This is why sales leaders should view authority as a medium-term asset that reduces CAC and increases pipeline efficiency quarter after quarter. Measurement should be set up to prevent busy work. We like to track DADR and referring domains, but only alongside rankings for target keyword clusters and the downstream funnel. Form fills, meeting requests, opportunities influenced, and closed-won revenue. That reporting model keeps stakeholders aligned and avoids the classic scenario where marketing celebrates a score increase while sales still lacks quality conversations. Operationally, run a quarterly backlink and content quality review to identify risky links, weak pages, and content that needs consolidation or improvement. Then run a competitive gap audit. Pull DADR and referring domains for your site and compare them against the top results for 10 to 20 high-intent keywords. The output should be a 12-month plan with realistic link and content targets, not a vague goal like increase DA by 10. Next steps: a sales-aligned authority plan for 2025. If you want authority that translates into pipeline, start with a simple principle. Every quarter should produce one asset worth linking to and a distribution plan that makes it unavoidable in your niche. The distribution plan should include publishers, partners, and communities, plus outbound sequences that make sharing the asset feel natural rather than promotional. This is where sales outsourcing and SEO can reinforce each other instead of competing for budget. At SalesHive, we've helped 1,500 plus B2B companies book well over 100,000 meetings since 2016 by combining list-building services, email outreach, and calling into one coordinated motion. The same playbook that opens doors for meetings can open doors for authority. Introductions to partners, invitations to podcasts, co-marketing opportunities, and mentions from credible sites that strengthen your backlink profile while your team keeps selling. The practical next step is to make authority a shared KPI across marketing and your SDR org. Give reps a small set of high-authority assets per persona, build them into multi-touch sequences, and track relationship outcomes like webinar slots and editorial opportunities alongside meetings. When your cold calling team and marketing team are aligned on a single narrative and a single distribution engine, domain authority becomes a natural byproduct of doing the right work consistently.